Here we go. This is it. This is our last time together for
What?
ever. We're
Wait,
never gonna
what?
talk outside of this.
You're breaking up with me?
I'm breaking up with you. I'm leaving this in at the start of the episode. Greeting. Fuck. Greetings and welcome to Second Breakfast, the second most important meal of the day. I'm Sean.
And I'm Jason. Sean, for the last time. What are we having for second breakfast today?
I don't know if you could hear it, but even on this last time when I got it right, I hesitated because I forgot again. This week on Second Breakfast, we're talking about episode 9.
There's no episode 9.
Wait, no, yes there is. I'm watching it. It's in my head. I'm watching it right now. We're talking about the season as a whole, kind of, a little bit at the top, and then we're going to be talking about our theories for next season primarily.
Yes.
For
theories.
The Amazon original series, The Lord of the Rings of Power. So I want to start off this episode by just each of us giving out of 10 what we would rate the season overall now that we're a little removed from it, and what our favorite part of the season was. So why don't you start?
I'm going to have to give it a solid 9.
Okay.
I think on average, I gave most of the episodes a 9. Maybe one a 10, and then 1 and 8 or something. So I feel like that averages out pretty well. Man, my favorite, I don't know, dude. There's so much that I was just so happy to see, just either brought to life or just having the insane visuals. And I would say my favorite is probably the Elrond and Durin stuff. They make me laugh every time. They also make me incredibly emotional. Also add Disa to that as well. She's awesome, even though it's crazy that, I think the show does so good with its non-canon characters, especially. And it's super important because, there's a lot of people who are going to be huge sticklers about anything on the show. And I think nailing those characters is huge.
I would say I think I'm at an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Which I think is about fair for what I've said in the past.
Yeah.
About the show throughout the whole thing. I've tried to avoid bringing this up the entire time because it wasn't something that I was super interested in bringing up. But there's definitely the factor of this show is airing at the same time as House of the Dragon.
Right.
On HBO, HBO.
And you can't not compare it.
And it's been hard, especially there's very little time between. I mean, Friday at midnight is when Rings of Power dropped, and then Sunday at 9 was when House of the Dragon was. So there was really not a ton of time between each episode. I think personally I enjoyed House of the Dragon. I shouldn't say that because House of the Dragon actually finishes this Sunday, so I guess maybe they'll botch the ending. But I think from what I've seen, enjoyed House of the Dragon a little bit more. I think that they're very different shows. So while I'm saying that, I would also advise to people out there that are listening to this, when you do see the inevitable House of the Dragon Rings of Power take, or versus Rings of Power take, while I'm saying that I enjoyed House of the Dragon a little bit more, I don't think it's a better show because they're very different shows that are doing very different things. House of the Dragon is about...
Rings of Power is a better show, but you enjoyed... I'm just trying to wrap my head around what you're saying.
I don't think they're comparable. I think they're telling vastly different stories. Rings of Power...
think it's better, they're just different.
They're very different. And one of them I enjoyed more than the other. But House of the Dragon is about a single family.
Right.
And they're all together all the time. So, and that's something that I really dug, and I really dug all those dynamics. Whereas for a lot of the characters in Rings of Power, either they never meet, or they meet for like one scene, or a couple scenes.
Right, or like an episode or two or whatever. Yeah.
Rings of Power is building something much bigger than House of the Dragon is. And
Yeah,
I actually
you could
think
say the season is like a definitely
it's kind of a prologue. I
a
think.
prologue season. Yeah.
I also think this show does some things better than House of the Dragon. Um, I've been okay with the House of the Dragon time skips. They've been doing time skips because that story is told over the course of like a generation, pretty much. So to age up characters, they've been doing time skips, like aging up kids and stuff.
Right.
Which is something that people really wanted from this show, was for them to be doing lots of time skips. And I think that it will come. There will be a time skip, but I think people were expecting lots of time skips.
I think there will be 2.
Yes. Whereas when I say lots of time skips, Jason, at least months between every episode, sometimes years. The cast changed
right. People
like 3 times in this season.
Fast. Right, right.
Like that's what happened on House of the Dragon this season. Is there are characters that were played by 3 different actors over these 10 episodes because they were jumping months, years at a time between episodes. And I was okay with it, but if that had happened here in Lord of the Rings, I would have not liked it. I'm glad that they're like, hey, we know that like Isildur isn't supposed to be here, but like we're gonna fucking throw him in now. I'm glad that we're starting with the storyline and not like we gotta wait to see him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I think that was the right choice for this show. So
I think there's 2 time skips, maybe 3, but I'm doubtful on that.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even be surprised if there was only 1 time skip. If there's none, then it's gonna be really weird.
But yeah, I guess I just bring all of this up to say that, like, don't buy into the Rings of Power versus House of the Dragon narrative that's going to be going. I mean, it has been going the whole show, but I really didn't want to bring it up during the show. But I think if any good fantasy show is airing, then it's a win for fantasy fans. So the fact that there were 2 really good fantasy shows airing at the same time, I can't, like, I'm over the moon. I can't believe how fed I was over the last 2 months as a fan of just fantasy media to be getting fucking Rings of Power and House of the Dragon every week. That was awesome.
Well, then also your other nerdy side, Andor, as well. So you've just been eating good.
Dude, I'm like 3 weeks behind on Andor still. Maybe a month.
Okay, so maybe not eating as good.
But no, Andor's incredible. I just haven't had time.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been a great couple months. All right, yeah.
Well, what's your favorite?
Yeah, dude, I forgot. This is probably gonna be controversial. I think my favorite was the Harfoots.
I don't feel like that's super I mean, there's gonna be people who think it's controversial.
Yeah,
I don't think it is. I think it was super well done.
I don't think there's an episode of the show where I'm like, man, I wish more would have happened with the Harfoots, or like not enough is happening with the Harfoots, or like, why did we cut to the Harfoots for this? Whereas there are some storylines where I'm like, I don't know that I need to see that. Especially with like the Numenor stuff. Like, no, like I think Numenor is taken out of the running for that one episode immediately for me.
Where basically you just have the same thing happen 2 episodes.
Yeah, and I'm like, why are we doing this? I think there's some stuff in the Southlands storyline that I would have liked to advance a little bit faster. I think on the Adar side, I think I would have liked to know.
Mine is definitely either Durin Elrond, or I like the Southland stuff the most because it has the orcs. The orcs are so cool, and Arondir is a badass. So
I love all of this stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, but I think with the Southlands, I was just I wanted more quickly.
Like, you didn't like how long it took from them to flee their house and then be in the tower and then get attacked. Like, it took too long.
It felt a little bit like, and like
I think
more
part
about
of it is
Adar,
that there was like a episode where you don't see them.
Yeah,
it made it feel longer.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and like I said, I'd like to see more Adar. I think Adar was my favorite part of that storyline.
Yeah, mine's either the orcs or Arondir. Like, they're both really, really good.
I think for him being essentially the villain of this season.
Yeah.
While I really like him, I think he's a little weak, just in that we don't get a ton of him. And I hope that that's something that season 2 is going to rectify. I hope we get a lot more at our, and I think we will when we get into the kind of theorizing section.
Yeah, it depends on what route they do, right? Like, how
Yeah.
long does it take for Sauron to conquer Mordor, you know?
Hmm.
Because that's obviously has to happen.
And then while I loved the relationship between Elrond and Durin, I did not like the fading of the elf storyline.
I didn't
And I think
like it,
that
but I
like
like that it's
colors the
already
whole thing.
resolved. Like, I felt
I
like,
do like that it's
yeah,
resolved.
it's
Yes.
resolved. And it was I mean, that's what I said. I was like, it's cringe that they changed this, but it's just going to end up being a season 1 thing and it resolved in season 1, you know?
Yeah, and I
Uh,
understand why they did it as well.
yeah.
You know, narratively, I get what their goal was here, even if I'm not a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
But like all things I say, I really can't think of a single thing about the Harfoot storyline where I was like, I wish that hadn't happened, or I needed more of this. I feel like they gave me just enough of it, and I feel like they didn't give me too much. They didn't give me too little. I think that the whole stranger stick didn't stay around too long. Like we
Yeah.
mentioned last episode. Um, I really enjoyed the Harfoot stuff. I think they're very charming as well, and I like that. Uh,
Well, and I like that they weren't just, oh, this is a nice time now, which is what everyone
no,
thought was going
yeah,
to happen. They keep the creepy vibes in between, and the stranger stuff is scary, and the mystic stuff is scary. So it wasn't all
yeah.
just, oh, haha, we're on an adventure.
And you have the incredible traveling sequence,
Yeah,
which
the
I think
music.
I think the Harfoot stuff is the stuff that felt the most Lord of the Rings to me.
Mm,
Um, just like and maybe more. I mean, obviously, like I guess less so once you get into like the events of like Two Towers and Return of the King. But the Harfoot stuff definitely felt the most like Fellowship to me.
mm,
Uh, Kind of, we're going on this like traveling adventure, a lot of montages as we go through it, kind of a mysterious dude around, like,
yeah.
this that's kind of upbeat for the most part. It hasn't gotten too dark yet. Like there's an edge to it, but it's not like as soon as
There's
you
like an
realize what's
implied
happening.
edge, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know that there's people who, you know, went off trail and died, but like you don't see it, right?
Yeah. Whereas with like the Southlands, as soon as you realize what's happening, you're like, this is a countdown timer to death and destruction and everything bad.
Right, right.
Or the, kind of the race against time to save the elves. Everything. It just the Harfoot seemed very chill in a way, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I liked it as well.
So we're gonna move on to theorizing about what's gonna happen next season. I have a ton of thoughts from the Discord that I want to go through.
Okay.
Um,
I haven't looked at it because you told me not to. Well, I did
yeah,
a tiny,
some
tiny
of them,
bit,
yeah.
but
There was one person in particular that I didn't want you to look at because I have a game for us to play.
okay, okay.
So Tyler, Carson, and Egg, first of all, or Carson Poon, in the Discord, all were just being weird about Eardian. So, what do you think about that, Jason?
I can't blame them, dude.
You
She
can't
might be
blame
the
them?
love of my life, even though her storyline is the most boring thing in the entire show.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
so okay. Like, now that we're like a ways into the show,
Yeah.
what I thought was gonna happen, and they make it seem like it's gonna be the opposite. Like, I thought that she was gonna be kind of the in for Isil and Elendil to kind of, get more power. But it's definitely gonna be the Muriel, Elendil, like him working with her.
Yeah.
But then I also thought, okay, maybe it could still be a seal because a seal has to. There's literally like if you went onto like the Lord of the Rings like wiki or whatever, right? Like if you went onto LOTR fandom and looked at the events of like the Second Age, you would see Isildur's name like once before. But besides him being born, there's only one other thing of note he does before the Battle of the Last Alliance or whatever, right? So like there's something he has to do, and I was saying, oh, that's how he gets there is through his sister and Kemen or whatever. But it definitely seems like his sister is gonna be on the side of no, don't go to war, and probably on Farazan and Kevin's side.
Yeah, I think she's not on. I think it's a rift in the house of whatever.
She sees the vision and doesn't
What's
go,
their last
oh,
name?
we need to help Middle Earth. She's gonna go, oh, we need to secure Numenor, and that's through Farazan not making us go to war or something.
Do they not have last names? Huh.
I
was just thinking the division in the house of. Hang on a second. I'm like, hold on a second.
We're like, wait a second. Yeah, there's like.
Well, because I started thinking about it, I was like, does Aragorn have a last name? He does. Elisar. Aragorn Elisar, right?
Yeah, there's like naming conventions that just are like, okay, you are from this line or this like genealogy or whatever.
Yeah.
Less about like, because it's more because they do the typical like Aragorn, son of Arathorn, right?
Yeah,
like that type of thing.
Gimli, son of Glorn.
But even just having the like Ara is like you are a king or of kingly, and then there's like Farazan's full name is ends up being Ar Farazan. So like that's also of like noble status.
Wasn't the
and then Muriel's is Tar Muriel.
Wasn't the was the king's name, was it Tar something?
Yeah, his name.
I thought
Tar
it had
Palantir.
Okay, yeah, I knew it had a prefix, but I wasn't sure what it was. I remembered them saying they mentioned it at one point. It might be in the subtitles, it might be in the things, but I know they mentioned it. I couldn't remember what it was though.
I think it's Tar Palantir. He would have probably gone by Tar because there's like, so Tar is like the old elven the old elven way of like denoting that you're like of kingly or whatever, and then R ends up being like the man, like the men way, the human way, because they're like screw the elves. So it's like R Farazan.
So another comment from Inertia. Inertia said, I wonder how much information will disseminate. Obviously, Galadriel is being tight-lipped about it, so will that mean that the other parties/nations will be in the dark to allow for aforementioned subterfuge? Yeah, what do you think is gonna? Because okay, so we leave off this season, and it seems like at least, it seems like
the only people who know
are Galadriel and Elrond.
Elrond doesn't know that he's Sauron, but knows that he's not a king.
Something's wrong. Yeah. So I don't think she's gonna tell anybody anytime soon.
I feel like she maybe tells Elrond. Maybe.
I don't think they can know, right? For what has to happen next to happen?
It depends. So I guess I can get into it because it's not really part of many of my like full-on theories that I have for like the different like for season 2. But I was gonna talk about it last episode, but you're like, what, save it for next episode,
Yeah.
So right now the problem is that the Elven rings, they're supposed to be made like during the other rings being made. So like the 7 are made, and then the 3 Elven rings are made by just Celebrimbor, and that's why they're like good rings, right? Whereas like the other rings are meant to corrupt and dominate, right? So I have like 5 theories. They're not really fleshed out, but it's like, okay, so either A, Sauron comes back again, but as like disguised, but as like a different person, and gets Celebrimbor to make the rings for the other factions, right? Like similarly to how it happens in the book.
Yeah.
B, Sauron just makes the rings on his own in Mount Doom and then hands them out, which I think would be cringe. And like,
I don't think that.
Then he would have to. There's like things that have to happen. He would just end up going and doing them out of spite or something.
I haven't heard all 5 theories. That's my least favorite of all of them.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I would say it's either that or the 5th one is like the lamest, right?
Okay.
C, Celebrimbor decides he's going to try and enhance the other kingdoms, like of dwarves and men, with rings himself, and hands them out, not knowing what they can do, right?
Okay.
Either through, and I could see it being through Elrond and Galadriel, right? Like Elrond wants to help the dwarves, and Galadriel wants to help the humans, right? But like they won't know like what will happen, right?
Yeah.
D is Galadriel, because Galadriel doesn't tell Celebrimbor the Halbrand is Sauron. Celebrimbor, he's gonna be ambitious when Halbrand comes back, and he's just gonna be like, you know what, I'm gonna work with you, even though Galadriel told me not to. Like, I don't know you're Sauron. Like, whatever.
I think that's what it's gonna be. Just based off the look that he has when she's like, "Hey, nobody treat with him if he comes back." I kind of feel like that's what's gonna happen.
And that there's like a D.5 or whatever
final chapter prologue
where it's like he already did mind control on him or whatever, right? Like as part of it, like maybe some of it. Or like E, which is super lame, is just he just shows up and then mind controls him, right? Like,
yeah, that's also bad.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't happen either.
Yeah. So I still think there's a lot of, subterfuge that can happen. Obviously the Southlanders don't know either.
Nobody knows.
I think some things that's like with one of my things that I think will happen with the Southlanders / Numenorians. But yeah, I don't think the subterfuge is done, and I think part of it is Galadriel not fessing up to the fact that she saved Sauron and also put him in power, kind of, basically stoked the flames on somebody who was kind of burnt out.
Yeah, I think there's going to be more subterfuge now that we know who Sauron is. I think they shied away from it a little bit because they wanted to have this moment and they wanted to give this characterization to Sauron, which I liked. So, but now that we know, now that it's like not a secret, like it's not a question, I think we're going to see more of it. Swarl said, season 2, more setup, more rings, more death.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. So I think all the rings are going to be done by the end of next season. I think we're going to make the 7 and the 9 for the dwarves and the men next season. And I think like the middle of the season.
Yeah, that's what I would think as well.
I don't think it's going to be like we get to the end of the season, it's like all of them are made now.
Yeah, the finale scene is not them being made as well. I think it's like the peak in the middle,
Yeah. Fabio said, my theory is Sauron will get a new musical theme or supplementary musical theme to the first seasons now that he's present. I think so. I think that's true. I think Fabio nailed it. I think Fabio nailed the thing that matters the most.
True.
Which is that we're going to get a banger new Bear McCreary track.
I'm so excited, dude.
For Sauron.
I'm so excited. Also, Bear, like, watching some interviews and stuff, Bear talking about the song that plays at the end, which is the poem that is like for the ring, right?
Yeah.
It was so cool. He's like, I wrote this melody and it's like, it just doesn't feel right without having the lyrics, like this song is meant to be sang on, and then you add in the music. It was so good. So cool.
It's such a good song, dude. Love that fucking song. This is more of a thought exercise than anything else because it comes from Tyler Tylerims.
Okay.
Where he says, I think the entire plot of the first season is in a time loop, and what we see isn't the first time the characters are going through this.
True.
Which, I mean, so this kind of starts
time
a segment.
Magic.
This starts a segment that I probably should have introduced the segment already because we're about to get to eggs predictions. But pretty much, I'm gonna read the prediction to you, and I need to know if this is a good idea or an egg idea. Okay. So the idea is like either a good idea is something that you're like, yeah, maybe this is crazy and out there, but it'd be cool to see on screen. And an egg idea is like only you would think this would be something fun to watch, So
Okay.
so we'll play that the first time with this Tyler one. Do you think this idea of this time loop is that something that like
that's
if
an
it
egg
happened,
idea.
That's an egg idea? You would not enjoy that at all.
If there was any type of time loop at all, unless you were saying like, okay, like the beginning of the end of the universe happens, and then you know what, Eru the god is like, yo, remix, let's do that again. You know what I mean? Like, sure, but that's not happening because we're not getting to the end of the universe in the show.
I think it's a good idea, dude. I'd watch a time loop story
Oh,
set
shut
in
the
the Lord of the
hell.
Rings. I'm into it. All right, let's get into eggs. Egg. I'm sorry for what's about to happen. Egg has a ton of theories. The first one is Sauron's gonna do some weird shit. It would be cool if we see him craft his armor or at least that helmet. Is that an Egg idea or a good idea?
I mean, we already seen him with it on, so I don't think that's gonna happen. I hope we see him in his armor this season.
Yes, but specifically, do you want to see him craft his armor?
I think that would
'Cause
be cool. You know, like we already seen Halbrand craft some stuff.
Mm.
Like maybe if he refines it or something. I don't know. To me, it always seemed like he's always wearing the armor or something. But like I don't know. Like typically in depictions, it's like, you know, you see the fair form, and the fair form isn't actually what is there. He's actually like the hulking mass.
Yeah.
You know. I don't know. It would be weird, like with what happened where like he got stabbed, unless that was faked too or something. You know, like it wouldn't make a whole bunch of sense.
I'm gonna be real with you, Jason. I think this is an Egg idea. I don't want to see him craft that fucking armor. I think that's really stupid. I think that would be the worst scene in the show if he's like, now I'm gonna craft my armor, and it's like fucking Iron Man, where he's like, ding.
Yeah,
ding,
it's exactly like that.
ding.
He's wearing a wife beater.
Yeah. I think that would be terrible. His next one was, maybe we'll see how that fucked up Mouth of Sauron guy comes to be. What even is that? He's so weird.
Yeah, I do think that Mouth of Sauron is in here.
You think so?
Yeah.
Is that a real character, or is that something they came up with the movie to?
No,
that's
a real character.
No, that's a real character.
Yeah.
I'd be down to see that. That's a good idea. I want to know what the fuck's up with that. I always assumed that was a weird movie character to get like some obscure exposition from the books across. But
no, yeah. So the Mouth of Sauron is in the books, and you know when he comes out in the movies and he says, "Is there no one that will treat with me?" In the books, he literally comes to Minas Tirith, I believe, and they literally have him and treat with him. Because they're trying to buy time for Frodo.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, I don't know, maybe we'll actually have peace, you know? Like just messing with him. And then as the Mouth of Sauron like comes back and back and back, he's like, okay, like you guys are fucking with me now. Like either bend down or we will kill you or whatever, right? Like it ends up coming to the ultimatum, but they just use it as buying time for Frodo. But yeah, he's a real character.
Right.
Aragorn doesn't kill him, I don't think, in the book. But it is badass in the film where he just lobs his head
Dude, it's
off.
really fucking cool. And then the speech that follows it is really, really good.
True.
I bid you stand, men of the West. If I ever do my favorite line, it's that speech. His next theory is maybe Isildur actually did die, but his death will be undone by plot ghosts like an FF7 remake. That would be dumb, but fuck it. That's an Egg idea.
That is an Egg idea. If you're bringing Final Fantasy into the Lord of the Rings, it's an Egg idea. It's terrible. Goose eggs.
This next one, maybe we'll get some more of Galadriel being tempting by the extreme power and or darkness. Maybe she has some moments where she ponders whether or not that Helbrusi is worth plunging mid-earth into darkness.
Oh, God.
It goes on. He says, also not in the second season, but maybe we get to see how she gets the ability to go all. And then he put the gif of when she's like, "Oh, shall love me and despair" from the movie, and he just goes, "What a weirdo." I kind of think I need to see why she can do that? Is that the ring that she has that allows her to do? Like,
yeah, she gets Nenya like right now.
It?
Yeah,
yeah. You've seen it. I mean, I guess you haven't seen her do it yet, but the ring is why she can do that. Okay, cool. I guess good idea, maybe then, because they kind of did it. I don't know. I don't know. I think this is between a good idea and an Egg idea. Egg says, I hope Bronwyn does some cool shit next season too. Since she was already pretty much in an Evil Dead scene in the first season, I say we turn that up to like 6. Save 11 for season 4. Give her a chainsaw arm, or at least a robot arm. Can elves do that? I don't know. Not knowing any of the lore is very freeing. Maybe dwarves can do that. Is this an Egg idea or a good idea?
This is an Egg idea, dude.
Nah, dude, this is a good idea. I hope they give her a chainsaw arm. That'd be awesome.
I think she'll be in charge, and we'll talk about that more later.
Yeah. But I hope she gets a chainsaw arm. I think that'd be cool. He also says maybe Bronwyn discovers the Necronomicon Ex Mortis and accidentally travels back in time, or maybe forward in time. Maybe she even hops universes to where I am. That's an egg idea.
That is an egg idea. That's never
the
happening.
definition of a. And he says, "Can Bronwyn ride a horse? I feel like she's one of the only characters we don't see ride a horse. What's up with that? I guess we don't have all the answers
Maybe
yet.
she's poor and
Maybe
lives
we
in the
never will.
Southlands.
That's an egg thought. That's not an egg idea. That's just an egg thought." He says, "I hope they give Bronwyn a theme. She's the best." And I'm gonna say that's a good idea. Give Bronwyn a theme.
Sure.
Why not? And he says, "I think that's all of my predictions." Wow, I said maybe a lot. Thanks, Egg. You got a somewhat funny bit out of it, just like how all your jokes are somewhat funny.
Not every
all right,
time.
now it's yeah. Now it's our turn. All right, Jason, I'm going to run through the different storylines, and I'm going to tell everybody right now, Jason's about to carry this segment, because when I was coming up with my theories, I wrote like a sentence, and Jason was like, he wrote for like 10 minutes for each individual storyline.
It wasn't that
So-
long.
So we're going to start with the Southlanders.
Okay.
And my theory for the Southlanders is that Isildur is going to come into a leadership role.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it.
That's
Okay.
all that's going to happen.
I do think that Isildur is going to be there, but I didn't put him in with the Southlanders. I put him with Numenor just because he's Numenorian. But I guess I'll go into what I think will happen with him. So I think Isildur is going to fight his way out of Mordor, but will run into Halbrand. And he's not likely. Like, I don't know. Like, the only thing that makes it not likely to happen to me is I don't know how he would then live, right? Because it's like you're literally next to Sauron. Like, obviously you don't know, and obviously they've all been next to Sauron the whole time. But I think what could happen is Isildur will help Halbrand in some way. You know, fighting some orcs that are trying to kill him, probably save him or something. You know, under the guise that he's helping the king of the Southlands. Only to then figure out what's happening as well, because, you know, Isildur, they already show that he's very much in tune with, you know, trying to do the right thing, follow his heart and stuff. And he probably will end up sussing him out that there's something wrong with him, and then escape in some way. I think it would also be cool because, you know, they end up, you know, like it would add more depth to, you know, what happens in the prologue of the Fellowship of the Ring, you know? It would add more depth to it. I think it's cool. It adds more narrative around it. I think also he'll end up returning to Numenor, and then we'll meet his brother Anarion. So
Okay. See, I would think that he's going to stay in Middle Earth for the whole season.
Anarion. I think the end he will.
Okay.
Like that'll be like the episode 7-8 type deal.
Yeah, the Southlanders, I have the least amount of ideas of what could happen. I do think you're right. Bronwyn's going to become more important. I think we're going to.
Yeah, I didn't even get into that, I guess.
Yeah.
I just said my Isildur stuff.
I do think Isildur is going to be in the Southland plotline this season, and I think it's going to be. We're going to start to establish. Okay, well, the overall theme for my theories is I think next season is going to be very political.
Yeah,
and I think we're gonna start establishing the different people who will end up becoming, or the different lines at least that will end up becoming the 9, lords of men that, you know, become ring wraiths. I think maybe not all of them, obviously, but I think we're gonna meet a couple Southlanders that will end up becoming like kings of men, and I think, you know, Isildur we'll see as well.
Yeah,
interacting with them.
They really there's only like 2 ring wraiths that are even named. And
Yeah,
so
they
could do anything with the other 7. But it also feels like the Witch King of Angmar, like he's named, but that definitely feels like it's his like
title more than name.
Yeah. Then the only other one that's named, and it's like in an appendice or something, I think his name is like Cosmul or something like that. And I believe he's from Rune. Ooh. So maybe we run into him in the Norian Gandalf thing. But anyway, I think as far as like the Southlanders, I think they're kind of take a back seat this season specifically. Unless there's kind of a time jump partway through the season or even at the beginning.
Hmm.
And I think it's because there's no King of the Southlands anymore, and I could see him maybe doing some subterfuge there, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
Or if there is, then Isil will suss it out or something, right?
Hmm.
And I think Bronwyn will end up, taking. I think Bronwyn will be in charge, right? Not Isil, because then when there is a time jump, Theo's gonna be in charge, and since he's the king, he's gonna get a ring. He's gonna become a ring wraith. And yeah, obviously that's not gonna happen this season. It's probably just gonna be
No,
more
no.
of him being the soldier that Galadriel called
Hmm.
him. And hopefully, I hope there's some nice scenes between him and his family. But I think they could also possibly get attacked by the orcs as they become stronger in Mordor and do raids on
Yeah.
nearby lands. Um, I think more touching moments between Arondir and Bronwyn. Um, but I feel like that duo is specifically going to end in tragedy because they're not canon and they're one of the few people they can actually kill without people going
Yeah.
ballistic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and when I say Isildur, I think he's going to come into a leadership role in the Southlands.
you don't
I
mean
don't think
like
he's
in
going to lead
charge?
them.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
but I think he's going to work with Bronwyn, and
I
like
could
I
see
think he's
that.
going to be
Yeah,
up there. You know.
yeah, I could definitely see that.
Um, cause of Doom, I think we're gonna see. Continuing with my trend here, Jordan is going to come into more of a leadership role, and he's going to have a political back and forth with his dad, and that's really all I can think of happening. I think that's going to take a backseat as well this next season.
Yeah, I think the first few episodes is them butting heads more. The Durins. I literally wrote some filler ass political shit between Durin and the other possible heirs. But what will make it change is Durin the Third is gonna get a ring of power, right?
Mm.
And for dwarves, that amplifies their greed. They don't become ring wraiths; it just amplifies those qualities, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so because his greed is amplified, he's gonna be like, yo, Durin, why don't you go back to mining Mithril,
Yeah.
huh?
I like that. I like
And
that idea.
then what happens is Durin the Third dies in a rock fall, right?
Uh-huh.
Then Durin the Fourth is gonna be like holding, because they'll like recover the ring for sure. Like they'll recover the
Yeah,
body
yeah,
and the
yeah.
ring. He'll be wearing the ring, sitting in his throne room, like
Uh-huh.
staring at it, probably tearing up and stuff. Maybe there's some evil whisperings or whatever. But while he's wearing the ring and he's mourning his father, he'll decide to double down on mining Mithril. And I think that's like the finale moment, is like him being crowned and everything and deciding, we're going to keep going. And they maybe show the Balrog again because they're like, remember the
Remember,
Balrog?
guys, don't worry. It's here. We're going to get to it. I promise.
But yeah, that's my snipe in the dark at what happens with the dwarves.
I like it. When it comes to the Numenorians, I think
This is like the political shit.
yeah, political conflict between Farazan and Miriel.
Yeah.
Elendil's house kind of divided with Eardian, and I think this is going to be a big part of next season. I think the cause of Doom politics is going to be a minor plot line, but I think that I think by the end of next season we're gonna see like a really bad status quo shift in Numenor, and I think that the lead up is going to be throughout the whole season of like Farazan gathering power after the
I
the
could see like
failure of the expedition to Middle Earth.
I could see the finale of the Numenor segment being Farazan being crowned, like a crowning ceremony, and it's playing some like very melancholy music or something.
Yeah.
And Muriel's locked up in her tower. And maybe she can even see into the Palantir even though she's blind.
Wait. Dude, what if the finale is Elendil? Like she's locked up in her tower, Elendil breaks her out, and they flee to Middle Earth. And then that's how they reunite with Isildur in the next season. Season 3.
I don't think so. I like the idea. I don't think so.
We'll see.
But yeah,
You didn't think so about Hallbred. I'm just gonna pull that every time now.
Yeah. Honestly, that whole thing could have been so easily avoided if you didn't say that stupid shit at the beginning about how, oh, if they lose first, then they're not a good villain.
Yep,
Anyway,
yep. I'm
anyway,
right.
because you made a ton of really good points, but I was just like, I can't give you this because this point is bad. Anyway, yeah, I agree. Tons of political division. I think that, with people finding out the queen is blind and that the king is dead, Farazan, it's his time to strike. But I still think there are going to be people who will be like faithful to, Muriel. And by helping Muriel, Elendil's going to come more into power. And I think Anarion is going to be in it, especially if his seal is in Mordor for most of it or Middle Earth for most of
Hmm.
it. It would make sense for
Anardian
Anarion
to
to
show
come
up.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Um, the elves storyline.
Notice I didn't say anything about Kemen or
Oh, I did
Aadian.
actually. I did have something I wanted to say about. I didn't want to say about Kemen. I have a prediction, and that is that Kemen is going to continue to annoy me every time that he's on screen.
True. Take him
And
off
in
screen.
Ardian,
And he did not look like he was dripping in the all the photos they
no,
put out where everyone was dripping.
no,
He was not.
yeah.
Take that hat off. You look like you're from a Clockwork Orange, dude. You look terrible.
I think that Aardian, I'm gonna continue to just not know what I'm supposed to be getting out of the scenes with her, while everybody else in the VC with me is just like, why does she look like that?
Everyone's like, "Mommy,
Mommy, and I'm like,
everyone.
why am I? I'm like,
Mommy."
why? I'm like, what? What am I supposed to be getting from this? And Jason's like, mommy, mommy. On the elves front, okay, you ready? I don't know if you can tell the trend of this.
No way
by
he's
now
gonna
yet,
say
Jason.
political shit, dude. No way. Elrond comes into power, or Galadriel comes into power.
Hang on. Galadriel and Elrond coming into leadership roles.
Let's go.
Okay, so I do have a little bit more on this one actually.
Okay.
I think Celeborn is going to be in this season. I think
Hell
Galadriel is going to meet Celeborn again, and I think they're going to really get past the whole Galadriel and Sauron thing as fast as they can. And they're going to introduce Celeborn. I hate to say it. I think you're right. I think Celebrian is already born because I think they need to introduce Celebrian. Because I think they want to give Elrond a love interest as well.
For sure.
And you can't. And also, it would be weird if Celebrian is like not going to be around for this entire show, but Elrond is already like a full adult for the entire show.
It would be weird for if you are going to add her in, she has to already have been born because it's going to be very weird. She's gonna. Yeah. It would be very weird for Galadriel to reunite with Celeborn, then have Celebrian, and then Elrond to be like, "Yo, what up, person I knew as a baby? What's good?" Yeah. Like that's kind of weird. Even though she could be like 1,000 years old, like actually, not like the weird Redditor. She's actually 1,000 years old, like actually 1,000.
Yeah. I think they're going to take advantage of the swap to the UK to start to expand the elf lands by having like they can go to other European countries to film to give a little bit of extra different flavor to the different areas. Like I think we're gonna see Lothlorien begin to be a thing, and they're gonna go to a different country to shoot those scenes so that they can like separate it from Eregi and Linden. And I think we might start I don't know when Rivendell is supposed to be founded, but I think we're going to expand the Elven kingdoms, and Galadriel and Elrond are going to start to come into their own like kind of leadership roles and get their own power bases. And I think that's what a lot of season 2 is going to be about, is kind of leveling up these characters to be, big and strong for what has to happen afterwards.
I think Elrond. Okay. So I guess I'll just go with what I put here first. But the elves obviously are now saved through the Rings of Power. One of them. Well, okay. So it's weird because two of them are supposed to start with Gil-galad, right? And then he ends up giving one to Círdan, the shipwright, which the showrunners have said they're gonna be. Yes. He's gonna be in season 2.
Yes.
And one is supposed to go to Galadriel. But I don't know how Gil-galad is gonna feel about her skipping out on going to Valinor and
Yeah.
also being the reason Sauron lives. I don't think she's gonna tell him, but I feel like he's just gonna be like, "What have you done?" type deal, right?
Well,
Um,
you know what? I mean, what if he gives the ring that's supposed to go to Galadriel to Círdan? Because Círdan is supposed to give his eventually to Gandalf,
yeah. So
but I
that's
think we're kind of
So
like,
Narya goes from Gil-galad to Círdan very quickly, then from Círdan to Gandalf later in the Third Age. So Círdan
what if
has it
they
for a long
want that?
time.
What if they want
Then
that scene though? They want that scene of Círdan passing on the ring, and you're not gonna get that from fucking
I
from
don't think
Gandalf.
so. I don't. I
You
don't
don't think
think
they're
that's
gonna
in
be
the
like, we're
show.
gonna show this?
I don't think it's in the show.
I don't know, dude. I think they might be like, we gotta
But
show this.
then Vilya is supposed to be with Gil-galad, and then it goes to Elrond, and then Nenya is the only person who ever has Nenya is Galadriel.
Nanya.
Nenya business.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Um,
Uh, I mean,
so I don't
maybe
know.
Celebrimbor goes, fuck you. She helped me made it. She gets one. Like,
I could see. Well, yeah, because it's.
she bought.
I don't know if it's
Halbrand
gonna
here.
be Celebrimbor saying I'll give them out, or because I mean they tell them that they're only. I guess it would depend on how much correspondence they have with Gil-galad, right? Because they think
Yeah.
at this point, I think he would think that's just a crown, right? But then they're like, oh
Uh-huh.
yeah, now we're gonna make two things, and they're like, oh yeah, we're making two things, but then very quickly, like as soon as we know there's gonna be two rings, then there's immediately the scene where it's like, yo, Halbrand is actually Sauron, right?
Yeah.
So then she immediately goes, I would assume like within the hour, pretty much tells him, no, we're gonna make three. So I don't think
Yeah.
it's not gonna be like a hidden thing from Gil-galad. Like I think he would definitely need to sign off on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other major point that is gonna be a problem. I think first half of the season. I think she's still in Linden and Aragian, but then I think she will end up going to Lothlorien. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason for that is going to be she's going to be like, the last line she says to Muriel is the elves will be ready, right?
Yeah.
I think both of them are going to fail in building an army to go to Mordor. I think both of them fail. I think both her and Muriel are going to either A, just be like spurned by their king, or B, like just thrown from the throne,
I like that. No, I like that a lot. Yeah.
And I think she'll go to Lothlorien because it will be nearer to Mordor. It's going to be like
she's the watcher on the wall.
Right, like she's gonna be there. There might even be some cringe cliche line where Gil-galad like tells her to go and is like, "There's someone there you should meet." It's because
Celeborn is there.
He knows Celeborn's there.
Dude, Celeborn gets a fucking Aragorn ass intro where he's like a mysterious dude and
yeah, and also to introduce Amdir, who's the king of Lothlorien.
Okay.
And yeah, I think it would be cool. I think also Amdir will have a reason to also hate orcs. Probably more viciously than most elves, like similarly to Galadriel. I think that's how they're gonna
get along.
Yeah, or the reason that he hates orcs might happen, like maybe like a loved one dies or something because the orcs are, building up. But yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen with the elves. I think Galadriel definitely takes more of a backseat this season.
I agree.
Because of the baddies.
Now, let's talk about the stranger and Nori. I have no idea what could possibly happen here, but I think they're going to be a pretty major part of the season. I think that there's really not a lot of conflict you can draw right now. And and by conflict, I don't mean like, internal conflict or like social
literal
conflict.
fighting.
Literal, we need to fight somebody. And I think the easiest place to find that is going to be the stranger and Nori going on an adventure in.
Can we just call him Gandalf? Like,
all right, yeah, Gandalf and Nori going on this adventure. In
I literally wrote Nori and the stranger, and after I wrote it, I was like, huh, why do I still call him the stranger?
But yeah, like I legitimately really think it's gonna be like that's where we're gonna get a major amount of our action sequences is
Hmm.
from them kind of adventuring. And I think like you said, one of the Kings of Men is from Rune. So I think we'll get some interesting like interesting kind of look at men civilizations, humankind or mankind civilizations like towns and stuff. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think there's going to be a lot of action in it, and I think it's going to be a pretty major part of the season just because they really don't have a whole lot else that they can
I
get those
think
scenes from.
I think what happens is this is the one where it's like I have like a bigger idea, but I don't know what's gonna happen immediately, right? Like
Uh-huh.
I think the beginning has to be traveling, right? Like it's a pretty far way, and then also I think once they get there, they're gonna find out that the blue wizards are in charge there, and they're
God, I hope
corrupt,
so.
and they
Oh,
serve Sauron, right? Like that's
I
what I
hope so.
think. And you know what? I think Cosmo is there, but he's a good guy, and they
And
help
he's going to
Cosmo
like
come to
join up with
power.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's gonna be like a legitimate good guy, right? Like I think it's gonna
Here's
be very clear that he's a good guy, and so that when the ring corrupts him, it's that more fucked up.
here's the thing. You have to have an Aragorn type in the show, right? What if they run into him on the way to Rune and he like travels with them for a bit? Just to add some variety to their scene so it's not just the two of them the whole
Mm-hmm.
time. So you get another traveling companion to kind of fill the cast out a little bit on that storyline. I think that'd be kind of
So
cool.
that's not just a duo.
Yeah, so give like a little bit more. And that's why I think they're gonna kind of get to Rune kind of a little quickly because I think they want to. I don't think they want them to be by themselves for the whole season. I think they want them
Yeah.
to be around other people.
I'm pretty sure the idea is that they're like in between Rune and what ends up being Mirkwood.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that he was gonna end up getting into like they are
Yeah.
partly through Mirkwood, right? Like they're in it,
Mm-hmm.
but I would assume they're like not super far into it. But I
Yeah.
thought they were gonna run to the elves there. I don't think it will happen now at this point. Uh, I don't know. I just don't know how they would introduce because like the elves from Mirkwood are in the prologue
Yeah.
of the Fellowship of the Ring. So
Yeah.
it's like I don't know. It'll be weird. It would be weird if they didn't pull from that because it's another way to have another area of the elves and another people and blah blah blah.
I think
But
we might see them. I don't think they'll be a major part until one of the other storylines intersects.
yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I think that that will be that because they can really do whatever, you know, like because
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
just completely off the wall. The other thing is like weird. So you know how they described, oh, they're gonna be there to witness the events in Middle Earth, but from another perspective, type deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they witness any more of the events going to Rune. You know, so I
Mm-hmm.
feel like Rune will probably either be a season 2, 3 thing, and then maybe that's when they'll start to come back.
Yeah. I think. Well, I mean, maybe they bring the Men of Rune back to like if we introduce this king of men, right? Maybe they bring him back to and his army or whatever back to the rest of Middle Earth for the
Well,
to have
Rune's
him
pretty
be around
much
for like the fucking rings and shit.
Rune is pretty much like always evil.
Yeah, but
That's how it's like described.
I think that they might want. I think it might be like to add the same kind of
Or I guess not
the,
evil, but the people that are in charge there have always been evil, pretty much. That's how
yeah.
it's like described.
I think they'll try to add a little more grayness to it. I think they
Yeah,
will
yeah.
try to introduce some good people from Rune that I think they will bring back to Middle Earth so that, like you said, we can get like this character to get one of the rings, and have him be
I just
involved
don't
in the
know why
plot.
they would bring them back to Middle Earth, right? Like, what is the reasoning? That's the thing that I'm not sure. Like, what is the like? I get the reasoning that he has to go there so he can remember stuff. I
Or
guess
maybe after
okay.
he remembers, he's like, oh, "Fuck! I left the place I was supposed to be. Sauron is fucking everything up. We gotta
Right,
go.
right. Like
We got,
that's his
you know."
mission is I has to stop Sauron. So yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense. That's why he ends up going back. But yeah, I
he's
guess I
like,
could see that.
he beats the blue wizards, and they're like, "We really thought you were gonna take longer to deal with Sauron." And he went. It's like the, "Oh no, I left the fucking oven on." You know.
Yeah.
He's like, "Nori, we gotta go back right now. I fucked up." You don't think he went around as like a handsome guy on a boat, do you? God, they always fall for that. He's like, he's like, oh no, oh no.
Yeah, I guess I could see, he defeats the evil blue wizards and then, like, helps the rightful king be there. Then they go back because the king is so grateful. They go back with, and then it adds to the men, because like
Yeah,
the like the last alliance of elves and men is really just like a ton of different groups of elves and then like one group of men.
yeah,
So if you were to spice it up and add it, that would be cool.
yeah. I only have one more storyline to talk about. I don't know if you have anything else about the Stranger and Nori you want to bring up.
No, that's it. Yeah.
The baddies,
The
a daddy and
baddies.
Sar daddy,
Yeah, dude, they're both
fucking
baddies.
meeting on the fucking field of combat. Yeah, I think we're gonna see conflict between them. I can't wait
yeah.
for them to have a confrontation. I think it's what I'm most anticipating next season. We
That would
already
be
know
so
that
cool.
the creators have said that, like, or the showrunners have said, like, hey, Sauron is gonna be like the main character of next season. So I think we're gonna see quite a lot of him in season 2 as well.
They said he's
Yeah.
gonna be like Walter White, right?
Yeah. Like, which I guess the idea is you root for him, but like also you don't, where you're
Right,
like,
right.
this guy's doing evil things, but like it's fun to watch him.
Yeah,
Um,
basically.
He's kind of like the Joker.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't have a ton of theories on what's gonna happen between Adar and Sauron. Only that it's probably what I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm okay. I'll ask you. Why don't you give your baddies theories that you might have, and then I have one question for you, I guess, to wrap it
Okay.
all up.
I think I'm always gonna call him Halbrand sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I wrote like Halbrand has a lot to do. It'll probably involve tricking Isildur.
That would be
and
very
will
cool.
kill and overthrow Adar. Like I think he does
Mhm.
it for sure. Like I think
Mhm.
Adar is as dead can be.
Yeah.
Un- unless they turn him into Mouth of Sauron, which I doubt, because
Ooh.
the main consensus is that the Mouth of Sauron is a Numenorian.
Okay.
But anyway, I think he might even do some like shape shifting like into Adar to trick the orcs.
Okay.
It could even be like a vision thing where it's like he's Adar and he's like, "Yo, kill this man," and they see Halbrand, and then he dies, but then the illusion fades and they killed Adar, right? Because I think it would be I think they're gonna show, and it will be a plot point that the orcs are way easier to trick than like an elf like Galadriel or something, right? Like he doesn't have to do these big sprawling things in order to trick him. It's going to be incredibly easy for him to dominate minds of orcs. And I think all Adar really does is build up Mordor and build up the orcs to become stronger and make homes and stuff and strongholds. And I think he might send some orcs to raid the nearby humans, like I said before. But undoubtedly, Waldrig will have a hand in overthrowing Adar to help
Dude,
Sauron,
yes.
who he's obsessed with. Right?
I actually
Undoubtedly.
I cannot wait for more Waldrig. To be honest, I might be anticipating more Waldrig as much as I'm anticipating more Adar. Like, there's something so stupid about that character. I can't wait to see what he does next.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it'll be cool to see. The evilness is what I'm most excited for. Anything that's happening in Mordor is the main thing that I want to know next season. I think that will probably be my favorite thing, having not even seen the second season.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's just so much that needs to happen. And then also, not only that, but the other rings of power need to be made. So
yeah.
One of the 5 theories probably that we talked about at the beginning. But yeah, it will be cool. I'm super excited. I wonder. I kind of want to see like let's say like the viewer, it would be cool if they did some stuff where they mess with the viewer as to whether when they're seeing an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that would be cool to do at least once, right? Where, you know, the viewer sees what, like, for example, Isildur sees, or what Celebrimbor sees, or what Adar sees even, but doesn't even really hint that it's an illusion
Yeah.
until the very end, where you're like seeing.
You can jump to Sauron's POV and you see what really happens.
Right, right. Like
Yeah.
the illusion breaks when he's like, "Okay, I win." That would be cool.
All right. I have one final question for you, Jason.
Okay.
So when the Hollywood Reporter went and talked to the showrunners on the set, or kind of I don't even think it was the set of season 2. I think it was like their production offices or whatever.
Mm-mm.
But in one of the production offices, they said that there was like a bunch of planning shit, and that it sounded like there were plans for a 2-episode battle sequence in season 2.
Season 2.
In season 2 for a battle that spans 2 episodes. What do you have any idea in your mind for where we are right now? What that battle sequence could be? And obviously, if you did know, you can't really share with us. But is there something you can think of, or is there anything that like you don't think is possible, but you'd really like to see?
I think there's 3 candidates, I think.
Ooh, already.
2 of them are highly unlikely.
Okay.
There's one that's a major spoiler because I think it's the most likely.
Okay.
And I'm sure anybody who's in the know knows what I'm talking about, so I won't even elaborate.
Yeah.
If not, just gotta wait 2 freaking years to find out. But I think the other 2 candidates are like Adar v Sauron, or what we talked about, and literally that's the only reason I even, obviously it's something that I've kind of theorized as we've been talking it out together. Maybe, the freeing of Rune,
Yeah.
I could see it being
that could be a pretty big thing. Yeah. Okay, so here's the copium, right? That big 2-episode prologue that was rumored that didn't end up being true. That's it. That's the 2-episode battle sequence. It's just all first age battles. That's what it is. Just somewhere in there we flash back for 2 episodes and we see the first age. Copium.
Okay.
We see him from Sauron's point of view. Copium.
He's not even really there. Like, he is, but like he's not,
Yeah. I don't really think it's gonna be that, but
like you're saying, it would be like 2 episodes that are not, like, you're saying like season 2 would technically be 10 episodes.
I mean, maybe it's like the last 2 episodes or the first 2 episodes or something. Maybe it's
like, you don't think they're 2 extra episodes?
No, I think it's in the season runtime.
I think if it's in the season runtime, it's either 7-8 or 6-7. As far as like which episodes the battles are. There's no way in hell it's 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be 7 and 8.
Yeah, I could see it being 6-7, and then 8 is like the aftermath and is some messed up shit.
I think the messed up shit is gonna be like,
actually, I think okay.
Before.
I could see it being 6-7, and then 8 is the aftermath, because if it is the major spoiler one, which if this is your first time consuming this media, I plead with you, don't look it up, because it will be very, very cool to see. And even if it isn't, like, let's say the thing that I've just been alluding to this whole time, and you're like, Jason, for the love of God, even if it isn't, you would then be spoiling. Like, let's say this 2-episode thing isn't the major spoiler, you'd still end up spoiling yourself for probably season 3, right?
Yeah.
So I just say trust me. Don't look it up, but I could see it being because there's like a battle that leads into another battle.
Okay.
And I
So
could
you
see
think
it
the
being
2
that.
episodes could be
I would
2
just,
battles?
I just don't
One.
know how that's a season 2. I feel like that's for
Yeah.
sure season 3.
Okay. I just don't know how they're gonna have a 2-episode battle sequence in the second season. I don't know.
Like they
any
said, it was in the second season.
They said it's gonna be in season 2. I mean, maybe there was a misinterpretation or something. I don't see how any sort of conflict at this point could be big enough to warrant 2 episodes of fighting. Like that feels like something that is a while away still, but who knows?
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's like Omega spoilers for them to say that, which makes me feel like the other 2 theories might be true.
Like it's like
I
an
feel like
Adar
they
and
I feel like they want to just like bust their load in some interview. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because
I
even
mean,
though they're not saying it, anyone who's in the know knows. So like,
yeah. I think that's sort of like we're one-upping. You thought Udun was good. Well, fucking wait till you see what's next. Because I think that interview came out after Udun aired. I literally think it was them being like, you thought that was badass? Just fucking wait to see what's in store. You know? Like, we're gonna go even bigger next season. You know, which is a very, like, we're not gonna have 1 battle. We're gonna have 2. You know? Like,
yeah, up the ante type meta stuff.
yeah.
I just don't know how you get to that, because then I'm like, okay, so like it's supposed to be how many seasons?
5.
So okay,
Which,
like we know what season 5 is going to be. It's going to basically be prologue of.
yeah, I think the entire fucking season 5 is Battle of the Last Alliance. I think it's them fucking marching to Mordor the whole time. Like,
yeah, like I think it's like mostly that, right?
yeah.
Then I don't know, like I know what one of the seasons is, then I don't know what the other season is.
I can think of what one of the seasons is as well, probably.
Like it just gives me a big question mark as to what one of the seasons are.
If this is gonna happen next season instead.
Right.
I got no idea, dude. I can't wait to find out, though. In 2 years.
It won't take as long. It won't take as long, guys. Trust me. It'll be at the beginning. They said 2024, right? So it'll be like the beginning of 2024.
In 2 years.
Beginning of 2024, guys.
So,
also,
it won't be. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna start transitioning us out. So if you have something like of importance to say, go ahead.
I mean, it's important, but it's not, right?
Okay.
So something that I wanted to bring up last episode, but I forgot.
Oh yes, I know you're gonna bring up. Do it.
So
you
like we're mainly
too,
very very positive on this show, and not because we choose to be. It's just because we actually enjoy the show.
Yeah,
but
because we're paid off. It's
we
not
are
because we
paid
choose
off,
to
true.
be. It's because Amazon is funding this podcast.
What I'm trying to say is, for the love of God, please stop the partnership with Deadline. It's so terrible. I love hearing from like the producers, the executives, like, you know, they had Bear on there, they had a ton of different actors, actresses. Like, my God, it was super cool to hear from them. But the interviewers from Deadline are the worst, dude. They didn't, like, I have only watched 2 episodes from it, and one was before the first episode even really dropped, right? Like, it was like their episode 0 type deal, right? Like, them getting names wrong or saying them a little bit weird, I would give them a pass. This is for the season finale. They said Sauron wrong, they said Adar wrong, and they said Eärien wrong. Like, my God. Please, bro. Like, at least Charlie Vickers carries it because he's just the GOAT. But, like, my God, dude. Both of these interviewers, and it made sense in episode 0 when, you know, they're in person because, you know, they're there for the beginning coverage. They're not in New Zealand, or they're not over on set in the UK, wherever they're shooting. They're able to actually be in person with them, right? Like, it's like higher quality.
Yeah.
Right now, it's a goddamn Zoom call, and these boomers don't know how to fucking do it. The audio's terrible, the visuals are terrible, and they don't even line up with the audio. Like, at least from the interviewer standpoint, like, these guys are supposed to be professionals, bro. Like, Amazon, you spent billions on this shit, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, overall, when you are said and done with this show, it will be in the billions. Like, please drop Deadline. They're terrible.
Amazon, we're waiting.
It doesn't even need to be us.
No.
Get Stephen Colbert on there, dude.
Dude, that would be great.
He would do it for cheap.
Although, we'll do it. We'll do it, Amazon. I promise.
We'll do it for cheaper.
Jason will not be allowed to do the interview with the actress that plays Aodian, and I will not be allowed to be there for the one with Galadriel.
we'll tag in and out.
But the rest of it will be fine.
Dude, yeah, it's insane. For anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, it's just like they have a partnership with Deadline where they do interviews and stuff for every episode. It started out, high quality, and I get that they have like prestige in some regards, right? Like, I don't really know them. I don't really care about them. Like,
Deadline's a pretty big.
It's pretty big, right?
Yeah.
Like, even that, having not seen a single Deadline thing, like, I can see why this would make sense. Yeah. But at this point, guys, like, the audio's terrible. The visuals are terrible. Like, how in the hell is Charlie Vickers, like, probably webcam audio better and more synced up than the people at Deadline? Like, you're telling me they don't have editors or something to, like, fix this up? Like, this is terrible. Like, obviously it is edited
they could
together.
Be doing it in, like, they can't call in from the studio.
Like... And also, like, yeah, exactly. They're not even in the studio. They're both clearly in their own homes, the interviewers.
Yeah.
And, like, if this was, like, in 2020, that would be one thing. But, like, come on now, guys. Like, this is ridiculous. And even if it was 2020, like, you guys are Deadline. Like, maybe put some money into this. Like, this is ridiculous.
Anyways, guys, thanks for joining us on this journey. We're not going to be gone forever. Definitely not for 2 years. Join us in tentatively January.
Yes.
Join the Discord for more information as we get closer to it. But Jason and I are going to watch every episode of Rings of Power on stream with the Amazon Watch Party feature. I haven't actually brought this up to Jason yet. Maybe we'll get some guests for episodes. We'll pencil.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. That'd be fun.
We'll be like, hey, when we get to this hour, we'll get, somebody to come on and watch an episode with us.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a ton of other stuff that we want to do. If you guys have any ideas for stuff that
I guess we should also say, like, the reason for watching them all in a row is we're gonna go through with the lens that Halbrand is Sauron, and talk about, like, oh, like, this really works or that really doesn't, and blah blah blah, and then talk about it on a new episode of the podcast. So
yes,
come watch it with us. Follow me specifically, me only. On twitch.tv/SuperSpikeGhetti and we'll be watching it together. Sean, are you gonna stream it as well?
Probably not. I'll probably just be on your stream.
Okay. I wanted to plug my own thing so then you could plug yours, but I'm sure you will later.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Like, I just wanted to give an idea of kind of what we had. Like, we're talking
we won't
about
be gone forever. Like,
yeah,
we're
talking about doing
things.
this. We're talking about doing episodes on the movies. There are some games we might play on Twitch.
Of Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings games on both of our channels on twitch.tv/Sean_AFK. There you go. Boom.
Boom.
And if we get really desperate, we'll figure something out. What do you think is, like, the most desperate, tangentially connected thing to Lord of the Rings we could do episodes on? If we're like a year and a half in, and we're like, we got to do something. What is the most desperate we can get?
I think if we were to go back to any of the first age books, that would be ridiculous. I think
if we get to, like, all right, now we're gonna read
reading the Children of Hurin is like is like the most brain exercise thing you can do.
Yeah, I guess that's another thing. On our list of ideas for the long hiatus, there is Surrounded by Copiums, the Lord of the Rings read along.
Yeah.
I don't know when that is probably the last thing we'll do.
Maybe we do it in between one of the other seasons. Who knows?
maybe we even just do fucking Fellowship, and then we do a book between seasons or something. I don't know. That's kind of like,
maybe that makes more sense. I feel like
we're definitely not gonna touch the Silmarillion and that stuff until this show's over. But we might do some reading stuff as well. It depends on really, that just depends on my own TBR and when I get to reading Lord of the Rings. TBR is
To be read.
to be read for people that aren't losers.
I'd never heard it before, but it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. That's everything.
Yeah, man. I mean, so sad. Sean's breaking up with me now.
We're
Just
never gonna talk
to-
again. Ever.
Just to send me a "you up" text in 2 years.
Yeah, you up. Obviously, I guess I'll see you in like a year and a half for a trailer reaction, probably.
Well, actually January, and then a trailer reaction. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also the redacted thing.
Yeah. Any redacted things.
Yeah. We have some we have one thing on that list that I think we'd have to get pretty desperate to get to.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyways, as always, thank you so much for listening. You can find me on twitch.tv/Super Spikegetti Bros. Follow me on YouTube, Super Spikegetti Bros. Or follow our Twitter for more news and funny tweets from Mike on SpikeGhetti Bros on Twitter. Sean, what about you?
Follow me on Twitch and Twitter at Sean_AFK. Follow Alks on Twitter. They made our juiced cover art at Alks_BigBoy. Follow Shane Plunkett and Jesse Wright on Meadow Vista Media on Twitter. I don't know why I said it like that. Because I have it written down wrong in the episode description. Ruh-roh.
Yikes.
Ruh-roh. I said, well, I just have it. I have follow Shane Plunkett and Jesse Wright on Meadow Vista Media on Twitter. It should be of Meadow Vista Media on Twitter. It's not that big of a fuck up.
It's not just a episode of Second Breakfast without Sean fucking up, shouting out the boys.
Somehow. Follow Shane Plunkett and Jesse Wright of Meadow Vista Media on Twitter and go to their website, meadowvistamedia.com or at MVM_studio on Twitter. And also, Shane, also Fabio, if you're nasty, follow him on Twitter at Fabio the Iguana. All these links are in the description as well.
Well, awesome, dude. It's the final episode of season 1. That's a wrap on Sean_AFK.
Wait, hang on, wait, what?
Everybody clap and cheer. I have his back of his seat that says Sean_AFK on it.
Wait a second. Wait.
And I also have a life-size body pillow of Galadriel in my other hand that I'm going to give to him as a gift for his rap.
Is that like a series wrap or a season wrap on me?
It's a season wrap.
Oh, okay. God. Thank God. I thought I was getting replaced next season. I was what?
That's a wrap. Amazon just told me, obviously, we're paid off. So yeah, you're out of here. But yeah, thank you so much, Sean, for doing this with me, because I know you were apprehensive of doing it immediately, and then you came around to it.
I'm so glad we did it.
It was really fun, dude. Especially watching with the homies. Shout out to Swirls Barkley, who came on a previous episode. Also, shout out to my friend Dom. Also, shout out to Iron Aggro, who were watching with us, pretty weekly as well. But shout out to the homies. It was so fun watching this on a weekly basis, and I'm normally not somebody who watches this type of stuff weekly basis. I'm never like I'm the guy wait till it's all out and then watch it all, right? In one sitting usually. Like I did with Loki. But anyways, especially if you made it all the way to the end of this rambling bonus episode of us just having baseless speculation, thank you so much. And we'll see you sometime soon for Second Breakfast.